by the other boys. But that acceptance meant I had to acquire this almost disgusted view of the feminine. And since we were told that feminine is the opposite of masculine,
it's so remarkable. If a scene wasn't working or you didn't feel connected to a certain moment, your character wouldn't behave naturally, and you could talk to him as the writer. He would transform the scene beautifully, making it exactly what you felt but couldn't articulate. As an actor, he was an incredible co-star. You never felt judged or critiqued, and there was no concern about what changes would happen when the scene cut. He was so present that you could completely lose yourself in the moment because he was that convincing. Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds claimed there was a digital campaign that took place in just a few days, from August 9th to either the 11th or the 15th, during which the entire internet turned against Blake Lively. Much has been said about text messages, Jed's activity on Reddit, and the narrative shaping online, suggesting that they intended to bury Blake. But what if I told you that newly unsealed testimony from Jed Wallace paints a very different picture? According to this testimony, much of what Melissa Nathan told Wayfair about what Jed could do wasn't true. The unsealed documents attached to Blake Lively's case and related to include deposition transcripts and other testimony, revealing that Jed Wallace and Tag didn't do much beyond monitoring online activity. There's been a lot of discussion about Jed and Tag allegedly deleting evidence, but it appears there might not have been anything to delete in the first place. The testimony also raises questions about Jed Wallace and Melissa Nathan's business practices, which could explain why these pages are being released, although we might be seeing some information out of context. During his deposition, Jed was asked about work he had done for other clients. Michael Gottlieb challenged some of Jed's claims that he could elevate content across algorithm-driven platforms, asserting that he had a capable team. Jed admitted, however, that he didn't have a team and that Street Relations wasn't capable of elevating content across such platforms. When asked if he had been untruthful to the client, Jed confirmed that he had indeed misrepresented the capabilities. When questioned about who his team actually was, Jed indicated that it referred to Tag, essentially whoever worked for Tag to post stories. He explained that Tag was the one posting stories and placing content, and this clarified that the team he referenced was just Tag staff handling the posts. To be specific, what Jed Wallace described was helping clients get things posted as news stories, which would ostensibly elevate them across algorithm-driven platforms. When asked, he confirmed that the process he referred to was essentially sharing content with Tag, which then handled posting it. However, this system seems to be more about language that might confuse clients, rather than actually manipulating algorithms. It's about placing stories for clients so that they naturally get pushed across other outlets. Interestingly, there was a list Melissa Nathan proposed to Wayfair outlining what her team could supposedly do on platforms like Reddit, including full takedowns and managing posts across multiple sites. Jed testified that he couldn't perform those actions. When asked about a bullet point claiming the use of a team of specialists to build digital messaging across Reddit, 4chan, Discord and other platforms to trend in the client's favor, he admitted he didn't know any team capable of doing that, and he personally could not do it either. Regarding Melissa Nathan, Jed wasn't sure if she understood concepts like algorithmic influence or how to manipulate content on platforms like 4chan. In fact, he noted that under oath she had admitted to not even having social media, making her technical sophistication highly questionable. When pressed on whether the statements of work Melissa Nathan repeatedly sent were truthful representations of the services Tag, Brian Friedman and she could actually provide, Jed said, "Not from my perspective." He repeatedly admitted he didn't know why these statements were sent and expressed uncertainty about whether it should concern him. During the deposition, Gottlieb asked Jed whether it bothered him to be held out as providing services that he couldn't perform or even fully understand. Jed dodged the question, saying he didn't have enough details to comment, showing a pattern of avoiding direct answers. From a business perspective, it's clear that Jed's testimony casts serious doubt on the accuracy and integrity of the claims made in these statements of work and the supposed digital capabilities promoted by his team and associates. Jed Wallace's testimony under oath makes it clear that he cannot manipulate social media, he has no team, cannot manipulate algorithms, and doesn't have the capacity to do any of it. Yet, according to Gottlieb, Melissa Nathan represented to clients that these were capabilities he possessed. From the start, there was always something odd about Jed, like in his email to Jamie Heath where he claimed, "My team will get working on it," even though he later admitted in court he had no team. This raises the possibility that he was either exaggerating, lying, or potentially misleading clients for profit. During his deposition, Jed was shown Exhibit 18, an email exchange involving him, several people from Tag, and a client. He admitted he only had a few consulting calls with the client and didn't perform substantial work on their behalf. When asked about the timing in relation to his work for Wayfair Studios, he was unsure of the exact dates but acknowledged there was a small gap between engagements. In one email, Jed wrote, "I see the date of the article you have and have my forensic team building a quick report on the sentiment and how it engages so we can discuss all the paths to solve." When asked who his forensic team was, he admitted he didn't have one and couldn't recall why he wrote that. He confirmed no one human or AI was building any sentiment report at that time. This was clearly a misrepresentation. Jed explained it as forward-thinking before he had actually reviewed the case, but it's evident that he claimed capabilities he simply did not have. When pressed on his repeated claims of having teams, forensic capabilities, and algorithm manipulation, Jed described it as puffery. This is highly problematic. Puffery is generally considered exaggerated marketing or opinion that no reasonable person would take. Literally like claiming the world's best coffee. What Jed described, however, was materially different. He claimed he had a forensic team, could manage algorithms, and could perform actions on Reddit and other platforms that he could not actually do. This is not mere puffery. It's false advertising and could constitute fraud or deceptive business practices. Clients could have grounds for damages because he represented services that didn't exist. When Yet's testimony is compared against other documents, it becomes clear that no digital campaign ever took place. For instance, Brianna Costello's attorney filed documents showing that on August 7th, Brianna and Katie cases acknowledged that the campaign could not be implemented in time before the movie's release on August 9th. Brianna noted, "It's likely too late for the social plan to be really effective," and Katie agreed, adding, "All they can do now is suppress." Later, Brianna shared a plan with Katie outlining what they had sent to Jed for $30,000, asking how to kickstart it. They agreed there were only 3 or 4 steps to manage social suppression: feed the line for the show, decide whether to act before her or wait and see, but they explicitly avoided specifics, didn't stir up stories, and ensured no problems would be caused. Taken together, Jed's testimony, his admissions of puffery, and the correspondence with Brianna and Katie paint a clear picture. There was no effective digital campaign, and Jed misrepresented his capabilities to clients, knowingly or otherwise. The plan was clear. Their only agenda was to give Justin talking points for the Today Show interview, try to suppress social media pieces if possible, and either go out heavy or wait. Despite knowing it was too late, and that any social mitigation wouldn't be effective, they still represented to Wayfair that they could manage this for them. They even sent a document outlining what Jed could supposedly do, yet in his testimony, Jed admitted he couldn't do any of it. Looking through the pages of evidence, much of this is familiar. Scenarios are discussed, planted pieces are planned, and scripts for what Justin should say on the Today Show are written. But there's no actual social media work being done by Jed. The only social mentions are tied to marketing. Themes about promotion, while Wayfair itself was releasing the marketing produced by Blake and Ryan. Behind the scenes, however, nothing substantive was happening. Reading these documents, it's striking how Melissa Nathan and her team talk about Wayfair and the people involved. They mock Jen Abel for not having kids, complain about Stephanie Jones, and speak negatively about clients while being paid thousands of dollars per month. It's unclear exactly how much Wayfair paid Melissa, but estimates suggest $25,000 to $30,000 for the short engagement. Yet despite admitting it was too late for social mitigation, they sold the services anyway. Jed was not even part of this case or the lawsuit. By the time Wayfair realized there wasn't a functioning campaign, all the discovery was already out. Wayfair has maintained that they never implemented these strategies. TAG sold the product to Wayfair while cautioning them not to take the scenarios to literally. They were possibilities, not guarantees. By the time Melissa and her team were engaged, there was already so much press that their only options were talking to reporters, trying to control the narrative, preparing for potential leaks, and attempting to present Justin's side if stories about Stephanie Jones or Blake surfaced. If this is representative of how publicists and crisis PR operate, it raises serious concerns. Selling services you can't deliver is essentially a ripoff. If you cannot manipulate the platforms or achieve what you're selling, why offer it at all? The concern is stark. Either Jed, Melissa, and Tag knowingly sold services they could not provide, or they misrepresented what they were capable of. Jed calls it puffery, but this is not puffery, this is false advertising. If Jed can't do what he claimed, it's false advertising. But if he can do it and says he can't, he's committing perjury. From the beginning, it's been clear that if someone did almost nothing for 3 months, charging $30,000 a month is questionable. Tag was involved in some work. They helped with reporters, provided copy, gave JB talking points for interviews, prepared him for the premiere, and offered guidance on handling press and creative differences without throwing anyone under the bus. They also managed crises when Stephanie Jones and Leslie planted stories and even worked with TMZ. There's evidence showing that TMZ received a copy of the CRD complaint as soon as Blake sent it, because they were tipped off that the Times was about to publish a move intended to get ahead of the story. But there was nothing about social media manipulation. Either Wayfair was ripped off, paying nearly $100,000 for services that weren't delivered, or Jed was lying under oath. He claims it's puffery, but this clearly misrepresents the truth. He said under oath he didn't have a team. Yet emails to Jamie suggests he did. The PR world is unregulated. Anyone can claim expertise without credentials. And Melissa and Yet's backgrounds show patterns of misrepresentation. This isn't the first case where Jed exaggerated his abilities. He claimed to help with mental health without credentials and misrepresented his qualifications in the Bam Margera situation with Paramount. It's easy to see why Jed wasn't included in the lawsuit. His false claims and misrepresentations could have been exposed. Wayfair was charged for services that weren't needed and were never implemented. There was no social manipulation, and the campaign was too late to matter. The unsealed documents clearly show there was no digital campaign. Contradicting claims that deleted evidence would prove otherwise, Jed admits he did nothing, and Tag confirms it was too late. The spoliation issue turns out to be meaningless. The result: Blake didn't get smeared, but Justin Baldoni got hurt in the media, all based on false promises from Tag and Jed. They assured Wayfair they could bury a story and manipulate socials, yet the failure of these claims led to serious consequences for both. It's a messy, concerning situation that raises questions about ethics, accountability, and the PR industry's practices. What do you think about all of this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bestie.